so today we're going to be doing solving equations graphically. So what does that mean? Well, when we solve equations, we normally do that algebraically. We try and get the letter by itself. So if it's an x, we get the x by itself. Once we've got the x on its own, we've got our answer. X equals -4 or x equals 2/3, whatever it is. That's solving algebraically, and normally that's what you'll do. But if they tell you in a question to solve it graphically, it means you must draw the graphs. Okay, so over here where it says solve graphically, you must draw graphs. If you don't and you go, oh, I'm going to do it a different way, I'm going to solve this the way I normally do, algebraically, then you will not get any marks even if the answer's right. You have to obey the instructions in the question. Okay, so what it has, if you look at the equations we're doing, it has on one side something that looks like mx plus c, and on the other side you'll have just a number. So what we do is we get y equals and write that in front of mx plus c, and we get y equals and write it in front of number. Okay, now by doing that we're creating two separate equations, which is going to result in two separate graphs. But we're going to do it all on the one number plane. Okay, so the first one we're going to graph will be y equals mx plus c, and we've done that before where we find the y-intercept and the x-intercept and graph it. The other one is going to look like y equals a number. Now that will always turn out to be a horizontal line. So you'll draw that horizontal line, and after that we're going to be looking at the point of intersection where the two graphs cross. Okay, so let's see how it all works. Alright, so in this question here we're solving graphically. 2x minus 3 equals 3. So like I said before, we're going to put y equals in front of 2x minus 3. And then we're going to do another one, y equals in front of 3. So we've created two equations and we're going to work on the two graphs. So the first one is y equals 2x minus 3. And we're going to do it by finding our y-intercept and our x-intercept. So remember our y-intercept, we make the other letter, x, equal to 0. Start with your equation that I gave you. And we're going to put the 0 in for x. So we have y equals 2 times 0 minus 3. And if you do that on your calculator, you'll get minus 3. So y equals minus 3. Now we're going to find our x-intercept. So we start with our same equation. Y equals 2x minus 3. This time we're putting 0 in for y on this side, and we'll have 0 equals 2x minus 3. So we're going to solve this equation and get the x by itself. So we're going to get rid of the minus 3 first, come over here and do the opposite, add 3. That will give you a 3 over here, equals 2x. Now we're going to get rid of the times 2, and we're going to come over to the left and divide by 2. Now, if you put in 3 over 2 in your calculator, this is what happens. So we're going to press our fraction key and put 3, down arrow 2. There's our 3 over 2. Press equals, and it doesn't change. It still gives you 3 over 2. Now, that is okay normally, but it's not okay if we're going to put on a graph because we don't really know what 3 over 2 even means. Okay, so remember, the SD key is to change something we don't like the look of. So if we press SD, it gives us 1.5. That's okay. I'd rather press Shift SD and get it to 1.5. So that's what I've done here. Okay, so now we're going to put our y-intercept and our x-intercept on our graph. So we have a y-intercept of -3 and an x-intercept of 1.5, sorry. So I've already put the 1.5 on, right? So x equals 1.5, I've now got the point there. Now this one is y equals -3, so we're going to put that on in a minute. Now, the reason I haven't already marked on the -3 on the y-axis is because I know the other thing that I'm going to be graphing. The other thing I'm going to be graphing is y equals 3. So I need to have both of these things on my y-axis. I need to have the 3 and the -3. So I'm going to come over here, and on my y-axis I'm going to make sure I've got 3 and -3. So I could just go All right, well, let's just call that 3 and that minus 3 because we've gone up in 3s, haven't we? So let's have a look. Our y-intercept was minus 3. Our x-intercept was 1.5, and we can now draw that line. All right. Now the other line, if we have a look at it, the other line we had to do was y equals 3. Now y equals 3 is here. And remember, when we do this line, I'm going to use a blue pen for this one. We're going to go straight through. So that blue line is the equation of the line y equals 3. And the black line is the equation of the line y equals 2x minus 3. So I'm just going to write those on so you can see what I've done. We've got our two equations, and now we've graphed the two of them. All right, now once you get to there, I want you to find your point of intersection. Here it is. Okay, now we have to read off what that is. Now it's a bit tricky because I didn't really give much information here, did I? Well, I'm going to just guess a little bit here. That looks about the same as that, so I reckon that's another 1.5, so that'll be 3. All right, so it's a bit hard to see, but that looks like it might line up with that 3 there. I'm going to say that it does. You may not be right, but it doesn't matter. There is a bit of room for error on this. So I'm trying to read off that point. So I think it's 3, 3. That's what I think it is. Now, once you've got your point of intersection, the solution is just the x value of that. So we're going to underline the x value, and we're going to write our answer down as x equals 3. That is your final answer. So I know it's a little bit tricky, this work, and some of you are going to get a little bit lost in it. Don't panic, just do what you can. Copy it all down, what we're doing today. Practice the ones in the homework. If you forget bits of it later, don't panic too much, but the more we can sort of understand, the better at the moment. All right, so let's have a look at the second question. We're solving graphically. That's what it said back here. 2x plus 1 equals 7. So I'm going to put y equals in front of this to create y equals 2x plus 1. Then I'm going to write y equals in front of this to create y equals 7. So I have two equations now, and I'm going to be doing two graphs for those two things. So I'm taking the y equals 2x plus 1 first, and I'm going to do all the working that we've been doing before for our y-intercept and our x-intercept. So y-intercept, we make x equals 0. So let's write down the equation, put 0 in for x. Now we're working out 2 times 0 plus 1, and it equals 1. All right, now we're finding the x-intercept. Put all your headings down. We take the opposite letter, y, and make it equal to 0. So copy your equation, put 0 in for y, and we have 0 equals 2x plus 1. And we're solving our equation now. Get rid of the plus 1 by coming over here and minusing 1. And we end up with minus 1 equals 2x. So now we're going to get rid of the times 2. Come over here and divide by 2. And if you put minus 1 over 2 in the fraction key, that's not going to change. So you end up with minus 1/2. All right, so we've done all the work to get this graph out. Let's see what we can do here. We have an x-intercept of minus 1/2. There it is. We also have a y-intercept of 1, so we're going to need to put a 1 on up here. I'm going to have a sneaky look and see what else I need. I need a 7 as well, so make sure you have room to go up to 7. Otherwise, we're going to get caught out in a minute and we'll have to redo it. We don't want to do that. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yep, we've got enough. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so now we're going to put on our y-intercept that we found, 1. We've got our x-intercept already on of -1/2. I'm going to join those 2 dots together. Go straight through with your ruler. Okay, next thing we do, remember, I'm going to use my blue pen this time. So I'm looking at the other one we had, which was y = 7. So here's your y = 7, and we're going to go straight through it. All right, this one's going to be very tricky with the scale I've used to work this out, but we're going to do our best. All right, now the problem is, and you'll find the same thing happening sometimes, is my lines are not crossing, but eventually they will. So I'm going to go and see if I can extend my line, both of them as far as I need to, so they will cross. Now it looks like I'm going to go all the way over into this other working, but let's just do it. Okay, we need to see where they're crossing. So I'm going to go all the way over into there, and I'm going to do the same with my blue line, make sure it crosses. Extend it over. All right, it's all the way over there. So I didn't pick a very good scale. So if I was doing this in a test, I'd probably redo it. Okay, because I haven't picked a very good scale at all. That's what happens. Okay. Now I've got to see what I've done here. I probably picked something pretty bad, didn't I? All right, I'm going to go up in 7s or something. Nearly there. It's probably a bit further than that even. Okay. I'm going to do my best to read this off. These are in halves. Two and a half and 3. Okay, don't do this in the exam, will you? You'll get really stuck. All right, so I think my answer, if we really have a look at that and try and read off the point of intersection, I'll write it down over here. Will be 3, 7. Now remember, we only need the x value. So x = 3 will be my answer. Okay, hopefully you won't have that happen to you. All right, I picked a really poor scale here, and that's why it ended up all the way over there. Okay, let's have a look at the next one. Try to ignore my line that went all the way through it. Okay, so the next one we're going to solve graphically is 2x - 1 = -5. Okay, so we're going to put y equals in front of the left-hand side of 2x - 1, and y equals -5 over here. So one at a time, I'm going to take the first one, y equals 2x - 1. Find your y-intercept where x = 0. Copy down your equation first. Put the 0 in for x, and you'll get y = 2 times 0 - 1. Work it out on your calculator, and you'll get y = -1. The second subheading is your x-intercept, where y = 0. So put your equation down first, then we're putting 0 in for y. Now at this point I'm just going to rub this line out so that you can see what I'm doing. You've got it down before, so that's okay. We're putting 0 in for y. We're going to get rid of our -1 and leave the 2x on the right-hand side. So we're going to come over here and do the opposite of -1, which is +1, and then we're going to get 1 = 2x. Just get rid of this for a moment. All right, now, to get rid of the 2, times 2 and come over here and divide by 2. And if you put that in your calculator, it will turn out to just be a half. Okay? So we've found our y-intercept and our x-intercept. So let's come over here. Now I'm going to try not to have what I just had happen. Otherwise I'm going to have a scale. So I'm not going to let my half, what I did wrong before, I look like I'm going to do it wrong again here. I let my half be too big. Okay, so I'm going to make that mark over there, instead of it being a half, I'm going to make that be a 1 in a minute. Just redo this so we don't have the same problem. Okay. Alright, so this is going to be 1. Alright, my half is going to be there on that point there. So that I know where I'm going. This time it won't be so bad, hopefully. Alright, so let's have a look. We have a y-intercept of -1 and an x-intercept of a half. So I'm marking my x-intercept of a half on first. Now I have to have a y-intercept of -1. But don't forget, I've also got to do that line with y equals -5. So I've got to go down to -5 down here. I might need to draw this a little bit further, just so we've got some room for this. Alright, so I'm going to go down a little bit further. Alright, and just measure this off properly so that we're to scale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Alright, let's see how we're going. Alright, so our y-intercept here is -1. Our x-intercept is a half. So I can join those 2 points up now and make my line. Okay, that's the first one. That's y equals 2x minus 1. Now y equals -5, I'll do with my blue pen. Here's -5. I'm going to go straight through it. And this is going to be my horizontal line. Y equals -5. So now we need to look at where these 2 lines are crossing. So look at the black line and the blue line, and with your red pen just mark where they're crossing. There it is. And now we have to read off the point of intersection there. Now I might need to actually do a bit more numbers up the top here so I can see what I'm doing, because otherwise I'm never going to be able to read it off. So I'm going to keep to the scale I was on. Okay, so this was a 1. That's -1, -2, -3. All right, so we're going to read off the point of intersection. You'll be able to do this much better because you've got a grid book to work with. Let's write that a bit clearer. Okay, now I think the point of intersection looks like it's lining up with the -2. So that point I think is -2, -5. And don't forget, we only need the x value. So I'm going to underline that and write x equals -2. And that's my answer, solving it graphically. So they're a bit fiddly, there's a fair bit of work to do on them. So I won't give you too many for homework, but they do need practice.